Going to go ahead and get started since I know our guest speakers have to leave the call as soon as they're done presenting. So I wanted to get started right away. If as parents join us, we just may have to stop to remind them to mute themselves. But thank you to everybody that could be a part of today's call. As a reminder, just make sure you're muted. And then whenever there's an opportunity to ask questions, you can unmute yourself to ask the question, and then just remember to mute yourself again. You should have received in an email some slides that we're going to be using. You can reference the presentation even afterwards and have our contact information on those slides. Other than that, I would like to mention everybody that is on the call today. We do have Brittany Montano on from OVR. She is vocational rehabilitation counselor. Danny Jackson from Pittsburgh Promise is the outreach coordinator at Pittsburgh Promise. I'm sorry. Ms. Garland is on the call. She is the CEO and principal of Urban Pathways. Mr. Frank is on the call. He is our assistant principal. Dr. Mendel is the director of special education. Mrs. Homich is the coordinator of curriculum and instruction. Mrs. Connor is supervisor of instruction. And then Mrs. Castrol is our 12th grade special education teacher. She will also be presenting with me, and we will all take turns doing our part. Again, you will have the opportunity to ask questions and get your questions answered. Thank you all again for being here. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Mrs. Castrol.
Hi, everyone. I'm Colleen Castrol. I am the 12th grade special education teacher, and we just wanted to take a moment to give a few updates on transition for seniors with IEPs. So we just want you to rest assured that we want both students and families to know that we are going to work to make sure that your child receives the accommodations and support that they need in order to be successful wherever they're going after high school. We are going to be working as well to put together some resources for students, and I just wanted to make the note, like, we are here to help you both now and in the future, so feel free to reach out to us at any time. One of the really great resources that we have is OVR, which is the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. So they really work with helping students with disabilities to meet employment goals through preparing them for employment, helping them obtain employment, and also to maintain employment. Some of the services that OVR offers, so they include, but they're not limited to, diagnostic services, so things like medical exams, vocational evaluation, so aptitude testing, interest, general ability testing, hands-on job experience. They offer counseling, job prep training, especially other trainings for independent living skills, workplace training, and self-advocacy training. So we do have Miss Brittany on the line. She is our OVR rep. And Brittany, did you want to introduce yourself and take it from there?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. My name is Brittany Montano. I'm the assigned OVR counselor for Urban Pathways. And just to piggyback off of what Ms. Castro was saying, OVR is a vocational agency that helps serve individuals with disabilities that present a substantial impediment to employment. That starts in high school, typically the last 2 years. So seniors who haven't applied yet can still apply. And the process is completing the application either online or over the phone. That information can be provided to you. If you have any questions in regards to that, you can always feel free to give me a call. Typically, high school students who open a case with OVR start off with pre-employment transitional services, which, as Ms. Cashel was saying, that includes work based learning experiences, job shadowing, any self-advocacy training, and even while they're in 9th and 10th grade as well, they can participate in group services.
Yeah, thank you so much. And if you do have any additional questions, we'll open that up in a minute. In addition to OVR, so some things that we are doing at Urban Pathways to support that transition from high school to beyond. So I did share with students a post-school outcomes survey. So this is just a way to gather contact information for the students and gather information on what their goals are, where they want to go when they graduate. And that input's really, really important, is that helps us to kind of put together resources for their transition plan. So once they respond to that survey, what we're going to do is use those responses to help start gathering resources for those students. It could also involve organizing meetings with student support services as well. And then 1 year after we get the resources finalized with students, we will be checking in with them just to see how they're doing with meeting their post-high school transition goals. In the survey, you can see at the bottom of the screen, that's what it looks like. It was posted to their graduation project Google Classroom. So if your child has an IEP, they have access to that survey to fill out. A few things, just because the online learning format is new and there's some things to navigate through. For what students should be doing for preparing for transition, the big thing right now is to make sure they complete that post-school outcome survey that we've posted. I would also encourage them to attend virtual tours or meetings where it applies. So Ms. Beck, I know, is really great about posting opportunities for that. There was a great one, I think, a week ago with a Rosedale Tech virtual tour. Students will be provided resources, and our goal is to have them use the resources that we give them to help speak up for themselves and their needs when it comes to either college, trade school, job training, or employment. And I also just ask that students check their email. I reach out to them pretty frequently through there. Ms. Beck also reaches out through email. Just because we have important things, we might have questions to ask them when it comes to planning that transition from high school. And again, I do have an example of what that survey looks like posted to Google Classroom at the bottom of the screen. Just a few other things that are upcoming in terms of IEPs. So by June 11th, we're going to work on getting the Notice of Recommended Educational Placement and the Summary of Academic Achievement out to students. The Summary of Academic Achievement is also going to include a lot of those resources that we are working on putting together. So when it comes to the learning support and OVR, are there any questions? All right. Ms. Beck, should I move into the Pittsburgh Promise?
Yes. If there are no questions, we can allow Danny to go ahead and share his presentation and go through the Pittsburgh Promise information.
Great. So just keep me updated here, Ms. Beck, Ms. Castrol, if and when my screen shows the right thing. It'd be great.
You are good to go.
We're on the slides here. Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. So hey, everybody. My name is Danny Jackson. I'm the outreach coordinator with the Pittsburgh Promise. And so Ms. Beck invited me to come here today just to speak with you all about the Pittsburgh Promise Scholarship. And hopefully I'll be able to answer any questions that you may have. Seniors may have already seen this material. I came in at some point earlier this spring, might have been even in the December or sometime last year. It's been a long couple of months here, but yeah, so I'm just going to go through these slides to let you know what students need to do to be eligible for the Pittsburgh Promise, what they need to do to maintain eligibility once they're actually in post-secondary ed. We'll let you know where the money can actually be used, how the money is used, and then hopefully by the end of it, seniors will see how to log in, and we'll get everybody completed with their applications. So there are 4 basic requirements for Pittsburgh Promise eligibility. The first of which is residency. So students have to live in the city of Pittsburgh. So any one of these 90 neighborhoods, Wilkinsburg or Mount Oliver, from day 1 of 9th grade all the way through graduation. So residency is the first piece. Second piece is enrollment. So students have to attend any of the Pittsburgh public high schools or any of the schools that are chartered by the district, Urban Pathways being one of those. Same thing from day 1 of 9th grade all the way through graduation. So residency, enrollment. And then the last 2 pieces, most students are familiar with these, but students must graduate with a 90% attendance rate and a 2.5 unweighted GPA. Both of those numbers are cumulative, meaning we're looking at all 4 years of high school averaged out. But if you meet all 4 of those requirements, that does qualify you for the Pittsburgh Promise Scholarship. And this scholarship can be used at any accredited school in the state of Pennsylvania. So any 2-year school, 4-year school, college or university, trade school, technical school. You can use it at cosmetology school, a barber school, so long as it's an accredited school in the state of Pennsylvania that is what we call Pell eligible, meaning it accepts the FAFSA. You can use our money at that school. But let's say coming out of high school, your GPA falls just a little bit short of that 2.5. Students still have the ability to access Pittsburgh Promise money by participating in the CCAC extension program. So this is an opportunity, kind of like a second chance opportunity for students, again, who don't quite meet that GPA criteria, to utilize Pittsburgh Promise money by spending their first year of post-secondary ed over at CCAC. And through this program, you would have the support of what we call a Promise Success Coach, kind of like a mentor on campus to help you through that first year. You know, make sure you're getting your books, make sure you're getting your classes scheduled, helping you find any mental health supports that you may need, getting a bus pass for you if you need that. But yeah, that's really what the first year looks like through this opportunity is you would take Pittsburgh Promise money with you over to CCAC, have the supports in place. And then if you earn 18 credits that first year, along with a 2.0 GPA, you then gain full Promise eligibility for the next 3 years. And so then you could take the scholarship with you anywhere else in the state. So again, coming out of high school, if your GPA falls a little bit beneath the 2.5 requirement, this might be an opportunity for students in that situation to still receive Pittsburgh Promise money and ultimately take it to a 4-year school after that first year at CCAC. Once scholars are utilizing the Promise, we call this core eligibility. So students who've met all 4 of the requirements out of high school, or they've gone through the CCAC extension program for that first year. These are the requirements for maintaining eligibility once you're in post-secondary ed. So to keep the Pittsburgh Promise, to stay eligible, students need to maintain a GPA above a 2.0, and they must be considered a full-time student. Typically, that's defined by universities as earning 12 credits each semester or 24 credits for the year. And just to put that in perspective for the students on the call, 24 credits for the year, if you think of it like this, pretty much, and this might vary a little bit by classes, but typically in college, the way that it works is one class is going to be worth 3 credits. So if you have to earn 24 credits for the year, divide that by 3 credits per class, that's going to be about 8 classes that you're going to be taking that first year, each year in order to stay eligible. Or 4 classes each semester, 8 classes for the whole year. So just to recap quickly, the requirements for the Pittsburgh Promise, they're right here. So you must live in the city or Wilkinsburg from day 1 of 9th grade all the way through graduation. Attend a PPS school or one of the district's charters from day 1 of 9th grade all the way through graduation. Meet that GPA requirement of a 2.5 unweighted or higher, or at least a 2.0 or higher to go through the CCAC extension program opportunity. And then you must meet the attendance requirement of a 90%. And all 4 of those requirements, meeting all 4 of those requirements, make you eligible for up to $5,000 per year for 4 years of post-secondary education for a total of $20,000 over those 4 years. There are 2 phrases here that are underlined that I just wanted to touch on quickly. We say up to $5,000 because the promise is what is called a last dollar scholarship. What that means is we are the last bit of free financial aid to be applied to your student account. So we come in after any other grants or scholarships that you might be eligible for are applied to your student account. So any institutional aid, maybe you're getting a scholarship from the school that you're going to, those would be applied to your account before the Pittsburgh Promise money would actually be applied to your account. And the second point here that's underlined is the 4-year window. So students typically have a 4-year window in which to utilize their Pittsburgh Promise money. However, we realize that because of everything that's happened over these past few months, or really over the past 6 weeks, students and families are facing a lot of barriers to being able to enroll this coming year. And so we've actually extended this 4-year window for students to utilize their Pittsburgh Promise money to a 5-year window. The maximum is still $20,000 total dollars, and it's a maximum of $5,000 per year, but students are able to use this money over a 5-year window as opposed to a 4-year window. But that window starts, right whenever you graduate here in June. You'll have a 5-year window to use your Pittsburgh Promise money. So what can the Promise pay for? I mentioned that we're a last dollar scholarship. We can pay for any of the costs that are associated with your total cost of attendance. So the cost of attendance is usually calculated by adding up your tuition and fees costs, your room and board costs, and your estimated books cost. So at that point, that's a lump sum. All of your other free financial aid that you're eligible for would be credited to your account first. The Pittsburgh Promise would then be used to cover any remaining expenses up to $5,000. And if your school is totally covered, if you have a cost of attendance of $0, students who are Promise eligible would still receive a $1,000 scholarship per year. $500 per semester goes directly to the student account at the school. And every school is a little bit different with how that funding is dispersed, but typically it comes back in the form of a refund check for each student. So in case you're a visual learner, this is just a representation of when the Pittsburgh Promise money actually does get accredited to your account. So at the very top in black, you see the costs. So that's the tuition and fees cost, the room and board cost, and the books cost. That adds up to the total cost of attendance. And then all the aid is in white here. So subtracting out first any funding from the FAFSA application that you may be eligible for. Any Pell Grant funding would be subtracted first. Any Pennsylvania State grant funding from the FIA application would come out next. And then any other grants or scholarships that you might be eligible for from outside sources, maybe from the university itself, that would be credited next. And that unmet need number, that's whenever the Pittsburgh Promise would be applied to your scholarship. Would be applied to your account. So we would pay up to that $5,000 at that point. Any money that's on your balance beyond that, that's whenever you would think about federal student loans, work study, paying out of pocket, things like that. So turning it over here, we've begun a program that we're pretty excited about. I believe it started with the graduating class of 2018. This is called our Preferred College Partners program. So schools across the state, specifically these 34 to date, have signed on to an agreement here with the Pittsburgh Promise that basically states that any student who goes to that school with Pittsburgh Promise money will receive an additional housing grant of at least $2,000. So all these schools are pledging a minimum $2,000 on top of our $5,000 per year scholarship, just for you coming there with Pittsburgh Promise dollars. So seniors, as you're considering your choices, maybe you see a few schools on here that you're considering, just know that if you do decide to go to Chatham, or you do decide to go to Mercyhurst or Cheney or Teal or Cal U, just know that if you're going with Pittsburgh Promise money, you would be getting an extra $2,000 minimum housing award from the school. There is an opportunity here for seniors. If you still would like to earn some early college credits, you would be welcome to use Pittsburgh Promise money to pay for a dual enrollment course this summer over at CCAC. I think all the classes are moved to online at this point, but if you are interested in learning more about the dual enrollment opportunity, let me know in the chat section here. The only requirements that you have to meet in order to use Pittsburgh Promise money to pay for a dual enrollment course would be the residency and enrollment requirements. So we don't look at your GPA or your attendance. So if you're looking to try out a summer class maybe, or a college class over at CCAC this summer, maybe reach out to me after this, and I'd be happy to send over to you the release form that we require along with the CCAC enrollment information. But that's a great way to save some money, to get a chance to take a college class, to see what it's really like. Maybe you're not sure if college is for you, so that might be a good way to test it out. We do require a completed FAFSA each and every year in order to maintain Promise eligibility. So the FAFSA, the deadline for that has been pushed back to actually May 15th, I believe, last I heard. FAFSA is required, as is the Pennsylvania State Grant, the FIA. Both of those are free opportunities, could potentially earn some students and their families some grant funding for their post-secondary education. We strongly encourage students and families to get those grants, those applications completed as soon as possible. We cannot disperse Promise funding until all other sources of aid have been exhausted. So we do require that FAFSA to be completed each year, and we do require that Pennsylvania State Grant form to be filled out as well. Seniors, I think a lot of you have already accessed your online portal, but this is the website right here. So any parents that are on the line right now that might want to write this down and log in with their student afterwards, this is the online student portal. It's at www.pittsburghpromise.org/portal. That will take you right to the student login page. Every student has a unique username and password. So I believe, Ms. Beck, maybe you have the usernames handy as well. So you're welcome to reach out to Ms. Beck for your child's username, or you can reach out to me directly. That's totally fine too. But either way, students need to log into this portal to check their eligibility, and ultimately need to log into this portal to let us know where they're attending school next year so that we can actually make the scholarship payment. And so there's 3 basic steps to the actual application. Students log in using that username and password. They then change that password to something unique to them so that they can remember it, hopefully. And then they update their contact information, approve guardians, and sign a FERPA release form, which gives us permission to speak with the financial aid office at the schools that they're attending. And then step 3 on here is the most important one, because this lets us know where students are actually thinking about going to school. We can't make the scholarship payment unless we know where students are attending. So if you haven't done this yet, students, make sure you log on to your Promise portal and let us know the school's name that you intend to go to. Select the semester, let us know the year that you intend to start. So if it's going to be the fall of this 2020/21 school year, please indicate that on your application. Step 4 I have on here, we have an appeals process as well for students who've faced some kind of hardship throughout their high school career that's prevented them from reaching either the GPA requirement or the attendance requirement of a 90%. It's right within the student portal. Students are allowed to basically submit an appeal to the Promise to ask for us to review their application and to potentially grant them eligibility based on the hardship that they have faced. So again, that function is right within the student portal. We review those as a committee and typically have a response within a week, maybe 2, with a yes or a no on whether we're going to approve that appeal or deny it. But that's really all I have. I wanted to leave this up for just 1 second. If anybody wants to write down my email address and my phone number, that is my contact information right there. So it's just danny@pittsburghpromise.org. And then my phone number is right there. That's 412-745-2224. But yeah, right now I'm happy to, let me just try to get back into this meeting and stop sharing my screen.
Hey, Danny, with the office being closed, are parents still able to contact you at the number?
Yeah, should be. And actually, Ms. Beck, I'm going to ask you about this. Did you try my office number today?
I did.
Okay, so it forwarded. So I tried to do this before I left the office, and it turned out it works. So that's good. I did all call forwarding to my cell phone, so it should work just fine. So if parents have questions, absolutely call that number, and it should come right to me here at my home.
Great.
Okay. Did anybody have any questions at all that I might be able to answer right now?
You are able to unmute yourselves if you need to ask a question. Okay. All right, well, we'll just move on ahead. Thank you so much, Danny. I know you said you have other things to do. So if anybody has any follow-up questions, you can always reach out to him afterwards by email or the number. And that information should be attached in the slides that were shared out as well.
Ty, I actually did have a quick question.
Oh, okay. Hi, Ms. Frederick.
So the extra $2,000 for the room and board, does that mean the student has to stay on campus to receive that extra money?
It does. Yeah, it's a great question. So students must be in resident housing in order to receive that extra housing grant of $2,000. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
That's a great question. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that.
I guess that's it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you.
All right. So, Mrs. Castrol, you're sharing the presentation again?
Yes. Is it working?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move towards the college planning process. And Mrs. Castrol is controlling the slide, so I'm just going to say slide to move on. All right, so I am sharing pretty much where your seniors should be at this point. This is the spring checklist. And right now, acceptances obviously should be should have already came in, and the financial aid offers would be included with those. Oh, I'm sorry, somebody's joining the meeting. Okay, so the financial aid offers should also be included in coming in as well. You should also be thinking about visiting the school website, seeing if there's any virtual tours available, any pandemic updates, COVID-19 updates that the school may be providing on their websites. And then also, I think it would be really, really important to take a peek at their social media accounts. This is actually going to be very helpful because depending how different colleges and universities are responding during this time, I think it says a lot about how they care for their students. Also, and by the way, I do have a senior as well. I know my daughter was able to join her Facebook group of the class of 2024 for the university she's attending. And she was able to meet other prospective students attending in the fall and actually connected with a young lady that will now be her roommate. So that is the benefit of also getting involved on the social media accounts. Is the standard deadline across the nation. However, that is being extended. I'm pretty sure pretty much most of the schools have done this. It has been extended to June 1st. Once you commit, meaning you actually accept the financial aid offer, you notify the school that you're committing and pay the housing deposit, you should also reach out to the other schools that you were accepted into and decline their offer. That way, they're not holding a place for you and can offer out their financial aid to other students that are interested in attending their schools. Slide. Right now, the university or college would also be asking you to set up an email account with them. Each school has their own standard email account, so you should be monitoring your personal email account. And I've told seniors multiple times, make sure you're using your personal email account whenever you're communicating with these colleges, because your school UPCS account will not work after graduation at a certain point. The school will also request medical forms to be submitted. I was able to do this easily through my daughter's doctor office. I was able to just download her immunizations and whatnot and get them sent over. Signing up for housing, signing up for a meal plan, and attending an orientation. All those should be coming out right now as well, especially once you've committed. These are things that should be happening. The placement test dates should also be coming out soon if they haven't already. The placement tests are needed because it's going to determine what core classes of English and math that your student will need to be placed into going into college. So again, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to keep referencing my daughter, but we're going through the experience now. But she was told that they're offering it online beginning in May. So she has signed up to do that. So keep an eye out for those placement test dates. If they're being offered, some may be on hold right now. I know that I spoke with Bidwell Training Center recently, and they said they will not be doing any testing until things return to normal. A fall schedule should also be happening. Because you're going in as undergraduate freshmen, you won't necessarily get to choose exactly how your schedule turns out. However, you should be looking at and it's on the school website. I forget what it's called, but it does outline each class you should be taking as you go into a specific major. So just make sure that you're looking at the classes you should be taking, and if there's an opportunity for you to schedule a class in advance or there's deadlines on doing that, make sure you do that. And then you'll also get connected with an academic advisor for the fall. And that academic advisor is going to have your schedule officially in place at that point. And you'll have the opportunity to drop any necessary classes or add in any necessary classes and things like that. But just keep an eye out for the fall schedule deadlines as well, again, through your school website. Your final high school transcript. This will also need to be submitted to the school of your choice that you're attending. I will probably be the one to have to do this between me and Ms. Mack. We will make sure that the complete high school transcript is official and gets sent to the school that you have officially committed to. Slide. If you visit the school website, there actually may be next steps specified on the school website. I did find it on Penn State's, for example. Mrs. Castro, if you could show that. And this is just what we were able to pull. It's a little tiny, but Penn State specifically lists here what an accepted student needs to be doing prior to arriving to campus. And it does outline a lot of the things that I had mentioned. Make sure, something that's key here is making sure that you do submit that deposit. If you're having issues not being able to cover the cost of the deposit, let me know and I could reach out to the admissions counselor and see if we could just get it tacked on to your tuition bill, which I was able to arrange for a student previously. So make sure you take a look at either your school's checklist or reference back to these slides for the checklist that I included, just to make sure you're on track with everything. Slide. I'm sorry, I'm so thirsty. I need a moment. Okay, so completing the FAFSA, as Danny had mentioned, the deadline has been extended to May 15th, but The FAFSA application opens in October. So the goal is to always make sure that you get that done as soon as possible. We want to make sure that you get first priority on getting those financial aid packages. So that's why we always encourage to get it taken care of in the fall. If you did not get it taken care of yet, that is okay. It has been extended. You have time. That's actually why I scheduled this meeting now, so that you still have time to get it taken care of before that deadline. Once you've completed the FAFSA, you will get a financial aid package. This will include a merit scholarship, which is a scholarship you do not have to repay, and this is typically offered by the university or college that you're attending, maybe for academics or sports or something like that. The only thing is with these scholarships, there are typically strings attached where you may have to maintain a GPA, a certain GPA, or you may also, you would need to look into knowing if it's renewable or if the scholarship amount is going to change from year to year. That's very important, because if you were offered $12,000 one year and then it's less the following years, you're going to have to figure out how to have that money in place. With the grants, these are need-based. You do not repay these either. That's also included in your financial aid package. Work study would be an option as well. This is an opportunity to work on campus, and the money earned can go towards your tuition, or it could just be a little extra spending money. It's not a lot of working hours at all. Typically 8 to 12 hours a week on a campus is what they give. In the fall, or even now, you might have the capability to begin looking at work study jobs on campus. And as far as loans, those you do have to repay, and those loans go directly to the school to go towards your bill. Slide. So with the cost of attendance, it's really important to review. Whenever I got my daughter's financial aid package, I actually reached back to the admissions counselor and asked, I needed a better breakdown of what this all means. And I asked for the cost of attendance, because you want to know how much the tuition and fees are, plus indirect costs. And that is what I was able to see on the cost of attendance that was provided afterwards. It gave a breakdown of an estimate of books plus personal expenses, just about an estimate amount, and even like meal plans and housing, all that gets included if it hasn't already been, so that you can see an overall amount on how much you actually need to cover for the cost of tuition, whether financial aid covers it all or how much leftover you're going to have to figure out to pay for. If you do need help, though, understanding that your financial aid package and cost of attendance at all, please reach out to those professionals, the financial aid office or your college admissions counselor. With them being not in the office right now, you might have to look up their emails, or you could reach out to me directly. I'm no expert, but I do try my best to break it down for you, or we could do a three-way call and call the professionals together. Also, with the current status of a lot of people not working, you do have the option to appeal financial aid, even if you are still working, by the way. It doesn't hurt to reach out to the financial aid office to ask their procedure to appeal. And you might have to email them again because they're not in office, but it doesn't hurt to just go ahead and request more money. All they can do is say no. But for those folks that your income has changed, maybe because of a current job loss and being unemployed, you can reach out and appeal your financial aid, but also let your financial aid office know that your income has changed, and see if an increase can be given in that financial aid. Slide. There is a new resource that just came out literally weeks ago that I have an attached link here and at the end of this presentation where I list resources. They actually walk you through appealing a financial aid, and creating the letter to go with that. So again, the link is here, and it's also in the resources list at the end of this presentation, where you can get help appealing for financial aid. But you're also going to want to know specifically what the procedure is through that school. The Parent Plus loan, I actually had to make a call to FIA to get this information, because I also needed knowledge of this. But so with a Parent Plus loan, this is whenever you still do have a remaining balance to pay. You may need to go ahead and apply for a loan. It could be a Parent Plus loan, or you could choose to do it through a private lender. If you choose to do the Parent Plus loan route, he did say the likelihood of being approved is there, but he did mention if denied for whatever reasons, credit history and things like that, an additional $4,000 in unsubsidized loans will be offered in your financial aid package as a starting amount, and then you can ask for an additional increase. Now, when it comes to unsubsidized loans, these are loans you're responsible for paying for the interest while your student is still in school. So that is something I want you to be aware of. You're paying on the interest while your student is still in school. So if you do get denied, it's a great opportunity to, have that additional money, but you do have to start paying on that. And sorry, I just want to take a look back at my notes. And then when it comes to the Parent Plus loan overall, you do have a variety of repayment options, though. Income-based repayment in different ways that you can pay on that. There is no debt to income ratio, meaning how much monthly income is taken by debt that comes into your home. I'm sorry, how much monthly income that comes into your home that gets taken by bills and things like that. They want to know, typically, I should say, loan holders want to know what amount of income do you have left once your bills are paid. With Parent Plus loan, they don't inquire about that at all. So that is actually a plus. There is a higher interest rate compared to private loans with Parent Plus loans. So that is something to keep in mind. And they also do charge origination fees, meaning as soon as the loan gets dispersed, you are charged a certain percentage of the amount of the loan. So that is something to keep in mind as well. Slide. With private loans, there are lower interest rates, no origination fees. I have heard that they can be a little bit more difficult to get approved for, but it doesn't hurt to try. If you have, as a last option, I should say, loans should be the very last option. Scholarships is definitely something that should be happening right now with your seniors. They should be checking these deadlines, looking for local and national scholarships. Now, the national ones are going to be more competitive, but it doesn't hurt to apply and give it a try. Local ones are least claimed and less competitive, And you'll see at the end of our presentation, I've listed some resources, but I've also listed some scholarship websites you can visit as well. Some are specific to Pennsylvania. And there was one that was only open through April 15th, I believe, as far as locally Pittsburgh. It was a website that navigated local Pittsburgh scholarships. So you can check those out at the end of the presentation, but the overall thing with financial aid and loans is make sure that you're borrowing wisely and don't commit until you know you can afford it. You cannot, if you cannot afford to take out a loan, make sure you do your best to try not to take out a loan. Try to get in touch with the financial aid office and see what they can do to help you before you do any other route. Slide. Here we are. So here goes some of the scholarship websites. The PA Foundation scholarships, that is Pennsylvania specific. There are still a lot of scholarships available that are out there through a variety of these scholarship sites. Just take a peek when you get a chance. I did post these in, I'm sorry, I posted the slides, I should say, in our graduation project Google Classroom, and have also posted them in the parents' emails as well. So if I need to share these in any other format, I can also see if they could be advertised on our school website. Slide. Here are some of the resources that parents and students could get connected with. Listed, Pittsburgh Promise and OVR are both on here. FAFSA, if you have not completed the financial aid, your financial aid, you can do that. The SWIFT student form SWIFT is on here. College admissions update status. This is the website you could go to let you know the deadlines to commit and other things going on with specific colleges and universities. There are a couple different college fairs and things going on right now. Strive Virtual College Exploration Week is happening this week. There are a ton of sessions you could be a part of, even going into tomorrow, which would be the last day. But I believe they're kicking off at 10 a.m. through 9 p.m. daily. And there's just so many sessions you could check out and see which ones are most relevant for you to engage in. And then there's a virtual conference and college fair. This is May 4th through the 6th. And again, this is all virtually. There's going to be sessions and panels and a lot of things going on there too. And slide. Okay, so next are the senior updates that we're going to go into, and slide. So you should have already received the senior letters that have went out with the different updates. Nothing has really changed. The graduation project is still going to be just presenting research in June. The prom is going to be rescheduled at some point. Again, when things return to normal, we really don't know, so we can't say a date. And then we'll look into the venues that are available at that time. Graduation, the same thing. Our hope is that we could, get it done in the summer at some point, but we'll have to see how things go, and again, what venues are going to be available at that point. And I know a student had asked about senior debt. There are no payments until further notice because there are no way to accept payments at this time. So you can hold off on that. I did list the administration contacts information here. They're all on the line as well. And if there are any questions related to any of this, now's the time to ask.
Hey, Ms. Beck, there was a question in the chat about, are federal student loans still a thing?
You know what? I don't know. That I would have to look into that and ask.
I Googled it, but the last information is from September of 2019.
Okay.
I just don't know if it's recent or not.
Okay. There is the last slide on here is should be, I should say, I'm sorry, this slide then, contacts. And the FIA person who I was in touch with is William Lindsay, and he is just a wealth of knowledge. He is somebody that you or myself can reach out to and get that answer. He actually is also hosting a number of financial aid webinars too, by the way, that I'm going to post in our graduation project classroom. But he would be the one to have the knowledge of that, which I could either look into or parents could reach out directly themselves.
So with our student, or not our student, our senior projects, is the essay still due, or is it just the presentation part? I don't think it went through.
I heard you, Jalen. The essay is still due. You're presenting your essay, and like you're gonna pull from your essay to create your presentation.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was the plan for it in the beginning, is just taking out the part where we had to like go into the community and stuff.
Okay.
So as far as graduation, you guys are going to have something for them after all this is done?
Yeah, I will let an administrator address that. I believe yes, but
There we go. I'm sorry, it took me a little bit to unmute there. The game plan as of right now is we really are in a wait and see mode. But our anticipation is that when we are permitted and venue permitting, we would like to have something for our seniors. One of the issues that we know we're faced with is that following June, several members of the class will be scattering. That's just kind of the nature of what happens following high school. And we will put it up to the seniors to allow them to decide something that they'd like to do. And we definitely plan on doing something, but we have to kind of wait and see what happens.
I also want to say, I was talking before, I guess I wasn't unmuted. I apologize. But Lauren has been in constant contact with the convention center. So those dates are still, we have dates that are still open depending on what we're allowed to do. But we are working with them, and they're willing to work with us for graduation as well. As far as the prom, we were talking about maybe, excuse me, like a senior banquet that was a formal senior banquet with a DJ and dancing and recognizing seniors, to include like a prom versus recognition of seniors at the same time. So when we figure out what we're allowed to do, then we will reach out to the seniors to find out, what do you want to do? Does that answer everybody's question?
Yeah.
Excuse me for coughing.
are there any other questions at this time while we're all on the line?
Am I everybody?
I wanted to ask about the thing that's on the slides right now. So is it a specific order that you're going in, or is it just at random?
What?
For the senior tributes.
Yeah, for the senior tributes, is it a specific order, or are you just picking people at random?
It's kind of random right now based on like which teachers were doing the tributes on which days. Like if you have a request, you know, I'm doing it myself. So let me know.
No, I don't have a request. Just don't embarrass me, please.
I got pictures of Jalen.
We have some very cute pictures of young middle school Jalen.
10-15 minutes. We can be ready.
Yeah, if you have any ideas, or if you have like a certain picture that you definitely want it to be on there, just email me and let me know, and I'll make sure it happens.
Okay, and are we still like doing a yearbook this year or not?
I believe Miss Mack is still doing the yearbook.
Okay.
Yes.
One more question. So last year, I know they had the thing where we can purchase yearbooks from previous school years. Is that still going to be a thing or no?
I would think we have some.
Oh yeah, we definitely do. Miss
Yeah.
Mac would definitely have some kind of package deal for people that want it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll have to try to get her to come down on the price.
Yeah.
Discount.
Miss Frederick is asking, are senior pictures still available?
I would have to ask Jen Mack on that.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Once we find that out, I can make sure I email you about that too, Mrs. Frederick.
Miss Beck, can you add me to that email too?
Sure. I'll email all parents just to put it out there.
Okay.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, you do have our contact information. Please let me know if there's anything I could do to help out along the way as we continue to work through completing the school year. And I do have to give all the students kudos because I know transitioning to this online learning has been tough and a huge adjustment, but we're doing it. We're all doing it. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Castro, for controlling the slides here. And I guess we'll end this meeting and then we will send a recording out. You can let anybody know that if they had missed out on it, we can post it and make sure they have access to check it out on their time.
See you, everybody.
See ya.
Thank you. Have a good night.